Hi, Vinas. This is Dr. Srikanth from Team MDS Conquer. Now, I'm here to continue the MDS Conquer NEET 2020 Recall Part 2. So, in this session, I'm planning to discuss all the endo related questions which are given in the recent 2020. So, coming to the first question, which of the following is not a supplemental anesthetic technique during root canal treatment? So, the first keyword in the question is not. Okay. So, before learning the term supplemental anesthesia, let's go to some brief ideology. Okay. So, normally, when you're planning to go for root canal treatment, you give an anesthesia, right? So, that is primary thing, primary anesthesia. So, in most of the situations, your primary anesthesia will be a nerve block or it can be an infiltration. So you know when to give a nerve block, when to give an infiltration. For example, if it is a periapical abscess or if it's an abscess or an inflammation. Okay, so if you give an infiltration, as it's going to cause an acid-base reaction and it get neutralized. So in such conditions, we regularly go for the nerve block. So there are few conditions where your nerve block and where your infiltration, the primary things may fail. In such conditions, you have to go for an extra anesthesia or an additional anesthesia. That extra or additional anesthesia is nothing but the supplemental anesthesia. So, according to endo or according to the standard textbooks in endo, the supplemental anesthesias in endo can be of three types. One is intrapulpal, second one is intraligamentary, and third one is intraosseous. It's very simple. Intrapulpal means inside the pulp, ligamentary means inside the periodontal ligament, intraosseous means inside the bone. Okay, you can add few important points, okay, related to intrapulpal, the questions which are already given. So when you are giving an intrapulpal, you need to bend your needle of the syringe. The bend in the needle of the syringe should be 30 degrees. So among the list of anesthesia, the last weapon, the last resort anesthetic technique is your intrapulpal. Okay, so these three are regularly called as supplemental anesthesia. So your nerve block cannot be considered supplemental anesthesia. So for answer for this question is option A, that is IANB. So going in detail into endo local anesthesia related stuff. The block with maximum percentage of failure in endo is IANB. The second important aspect when you're talking about LA and endo is hot teeth. Most commonly asked question for the final year students also. Simple definition. Teeth which does not anesthetize or teeth which is difficult to anesthetize is called as hot teeth. So how to handle this hot teeth or why the teeth is not responding to anesthesia? So the basic reason why the teeth is not responding to anesthesia is due to a particular type of receptors. These receptors are present in the C fibers. You know the fibers of pulp. Okay, your pulp has basically three types of nerve fibers, out of which two are predominant. The two predominant are A delta and C fibers. In very few cases, you can see A beta also. But these receptors are present in C fibers. What are these receptors called as? TXTR receptors. That is teratotoxin resistance receptors. These receptors are very resistant to regular LAs. How much times? 5 times more resistance. So that is the reason why these teeth which is having this particular receptor does not anesthetize fast or properly. So what you have to do, there are two modes of handling this hot teeth. Mode 1 is by giving strong anesthetic solution, strong LA. The strong LA, according to the recent edition of Grossman, is bupivacaine. If you don't find bupivacaine in the options, then you can go for articaine. Okay. Of course, the disadvantage of bupivacaine is it is the most toxic LA and it is most cardiotoxic LA. Cardiotoxic LA, right? So the second method of handling the hot teeth is by giving a supplemental anesthetic solution. That can be either intrapulpal or intraosseous or intraligamentary. So here we will learn few important things or questions related to intraosseous. This is a diagram of intraosseous. Okay. So where you are trying to deposit the local anesthetic solution in the bone. So first important point that you have to make a note about intraosseous is it is contraindicated in deciduous teeth. Don't give it. Contraindicated in deciduous teeth. The second important point that you have to make a note is when you are giving this, try to deposit in the porous bone. So when I'm talking about porous bone, they can ask you the comparison of maxilla and mandible. Your maxilla has more porous bone when compared with the mandible. So anesthesia acts faster in maxilla when compared with the mandible. Next one, site of anesthesia is a question again. Where you are going to keep this hole and drop it. Okay. So it varies with the edentulous and the dentulous. So when I'm talking about dentulous, which has teeth, so make a note, it's a standard principle. The anesthetic solution should be deposited distal to all the teeth. But there is two exceptions for this. Except maxillary and mandibular second molars, where you have to deposit this mesially. For all the teeth it is distal, you can deposit posteriorly. But for the mandibular first and mandibular second molars, you have to deposit on the mesial side, on the anterior side. So how you're giving, it's an horizontal way. It's a horizontal, right? So for dentulous patients, it is horizontal. For edentulous patients, where there is no teeth, and if you are planning to go for some sort of surgical procedure, you need to give an LA, and if you are planning to give an intraosseous, it should be given vertically. So where vertically it has to be given on the crust. Simple, it has to be given like this, vertically. So this type of anesthesia which is given in the edentulous patients is called as crustal anesthesia. It's called as crustal anesthesia. Okay. And the next important aspect that you have to make a note when I'm talking about this particular is where the site of injection is. The site of injection is 2 millimeters apical to the construction. For example, this is an intersection between two lines, and it should be given 2 millimeters apical to the intersection between the two lines. One line is, this line is the line which is drawn from interdental papillae, and this horizontal line is drawn along the marginal gingiva. So it is given 2 millimeters apical to the intersection between the marginal gingiva and the interdental papilla. Why you have to give 2 millimeters apically means this is an area where you don't have any roots, because you have to keep an hole, right? So if you have roots, you are going to damage the roots. So that is the reason why this intersection point, 2 millimeters apical to this intersection point, is the site of deposition of local anesthesia. So these are the important things that you have to make a note, because most of your questions will move around this area. Coming to the next question. It's a very simple question. Question moves around the composition of GP, Gatapacha. The first option says the composition of it consists of 55% of Gatapacha. So it's very simple statement. When you learn about the composition of Gatapacha, which is given by Fredman, the first important point that most of us learn is the major component in the Gatapacha is not Gatapacha, It is ZOE. It is zinc oxide, which is the major content. It clearly shows that the option A shows that the major content in the Gatapacha is Gatapacha. That's a wrong statement. The second statement, the color coding of Gatapacha is used to identify the size. Perfectly right statement. No need to go for the next options also. It's exactly the same. The color coding of Gatapacha is same as the color coding of your ISO standard files. So it's yellow color. Yes, it's yellow color file. The yellow color size of Gatapacha is used. You can go for the option C. It adheres to the enamel and dentin. No, Gatapacha will never adhere to the enamel and dentin at any situation. Okay, maybe an active GP can adhere. Active GP. We have already learned what is active GP. Active GP is nothing but GIC coated GP. GIC plus GP. Your GIC has chemical bonding with enamel and dentin. So your active GP can attach to that of the tooth, that is enamel and dentin, but your normal GP will not do that. So option C is wrong. Coming to the option D, Gatapacha points can be sterilized by dry heat. No. Dry heat. It's not dry heat. Gatapacha is sterilized by wet heat. So most of your endodontic instruments, except very few, are sterilized by wet heat, that is autoclave. If you want, you can write down the numbers related to autoclave. Okay, that is 121 degrees centigrade, 15 lbs, and 15 minutes. They can ask you what is flash sterilization. Flash sterilization is almost the autoclave. It's same as autoclave, but the numbers will vary. 134 degrees centigrade. Okay, that is 30 lbs, and flash means fast, 3 minutes. 3 minutes, right? I think this is these numbers are the questions which are given in the recent AIIMS and NEET. Just make a note. And there are few types of endodontic instruments which are sterilized by dry heat. One is silver points. The mode of sterilization of your silver cones or silver points is by passing through the flame. Of course, your glass bead sterilizer is a dry heat type of sterilizer. It's a dry heat method, but it's not the regular method of sterilization. Most of the things before they go into the oral cavity are being disinfected in your glass bead sterilizer. Okay, you have few questions on the numbers of glass bead sterilizer. Okay, so what is the minimum time? That is 5 seconds. What is the minimum time is? That is 5 seconds. And for paper points, it's going to be 10 seconds. For burrs, even burrs are being disinfected or before they are used, previously they used to use the glass bead sterilizer, it's going to be 15 seconds. Your files and reamers are 5 seconds. Your paper points is 10 seconds and your burrs are 15 seconds. Okay, so you can just add a note of this. So the answer for this question is B. The next comes, if you want, you can add this composition of Gatapacha. The numbers slightly vary from reference book to reference book. Okay, the major content is zinc oxide. The major content in GP is not GP. Okay, just make a note. And the plasticity or plasticizer that is used are waxes and resins, and radio opacity is basically due to the metal sulfates. And this classification is again given by a particular person. That's the question again. That is Friedman. So the next question is basically a combined question. Of course, it's a direct statement taken from the Cohen. Of course, we have discussed this in so many classes. The bar brooch is placed into the apical 1/3 during the pulp excitation because the apex has. Okay, so when you take your pulp, okay, this is a question which is a combination of dental histology and applied endo. It's a very good question. So if you take your pulp into consideration, sorry, I'm very bad at drawing the things, don't mind. Okay, the pulp is divided into, the pulp is divided into middle 1/3, coronal 1/3, and apical 1/3, right? So if you take the histology of apical 1/3, this apical 1/3 has more collagen fibers. Okay, when I'm talking about pulp has two types of collagen fibers. That is type 1 predominant and type 3 is the second one. Your type 1 is 55% and your type 3 is 45%. Make a note, they can ask you question related to fetal pulp. Fetal pulp has more type 3. But as the pulp is being matured, your type 3 will be converted into type 1. So matured pulp will have more type 1, whereas the fetal pulp will have more type 3. Fetal pulp type 3, matured pulp type 1. If they're asking the ratio 55 is to 45. If they're asking which types of collagens are most, type 1 and type 3 are most, predominant is type 1. In which area these type 1, type 3 are more in the adult pulp, that needs apical 1/3. So that is the reason why your brooch is being inserted into the apical 1/3, and if you turn it by 180 degrees, all these collagen fibers as a group of friends, they are going to hang to the brooches of the barbs of the brooch, and you can remove it at a single shot. This is what the most of endodontists, they keep it on the Facebook. So in few articles it was given as Facebook pulp. What is Facebook pulp? If an endodontist is able to remove the entire pulp in a single shot by using this technique of keeping the barb brooch into the apical 1/3 and turning it by 180 and keeping a photograph on the Facebook, then it is called as Facebook pulp. It's very simple. So this is a diagram based question which is once given in the AIIMS. So how your brooches, this is your barb brooch, right? So you can have these barbs. So they can ask you the diameter, or they can ask you the length of the barbs. The length of the barbs is equal to, it should not be more than half of the diameter of the canal. It should not be more than half of the diameter of the canal. Okay, and make a note, they can ask you the sequence of the order of instruments that are used. The first instrument that should be used is file, smallest file, followed by the reamer, and the brooch should be used at the last. Okay, so please do make a note. This can be asked as a sequence based question in your AIIMS. And before using brooch, your canal should be enlarged to minimum 25 to 30 number file. Because why the brooch has to be used large? Because this is more prone for fracture. After brooch, the next instrument which is more prone for fracture is H file. Don't get confused. After brooch is more prone for fracture. Then after it's going to be the H file. So what is the primary function of this is again a question. All these questions were repeated in 2017 and 18 NEET exams. That is the primary function is the pulp excitation. Followed by it has other functions like removal of paper points, removal of cotton, removal of debris and everything. Hope everything is clear, right? I'm moving to the next question. So this question is again on the instrumentation in the endo. GG drills, most of you are familiar, and it's a very easy question. The keyword in this question is all of the following are true related to GG drills except is a keyword. They're asking a false statement. The first one is it cuts the dentin while removing the canal. Yes, perfectly right statement. It has or it is a end cutting tool. No. It has a safety tip. Because there are high chances that you are going to perforate or you are going to damage or you are going to remove the excess thing. So it was made in such a way that it has a safety tip. I'm going to discuss that with a diagram in the next slide, but we'll see the next question. That is, can be used only in the straight portion of the canal. Yes, perfectly. If you use in a curved area or in any other area, it's going to cause damage. It's going to cause perforation. There are few modifications of this GG drills which are called as flexogates. There are modification of this, they are called as flexogates. Flexogates are flexible GG drills, okay, where it is made up of with a material called as Nitei. You know the abilities of Nitei. Nitei are being used in endo in different areas like instrumentation in endo. particularly when you're talking about the rotary files. But of course, the most common area of NITI is, yeah, of course, it is your orthodontics, where it has that pseudo-elasticity or super elasticity. You have your terms like shape memory. So there are many other terms which are very peculiar to NITI. So these flexo gates are little bit made up of this NITI. They have some flexibility which can be used in some deviated canals also. Okay, whereas your GG drills which don't have this flexibility property are only used in the straight portion of the canal. Your GG drills sizes, they starts from number 1 to number 6. Number 1 is 0.5 and number 6 is 1.5 millimeters, as you are well familiar with this. So all the statements are true except the statement B. So this is a picture, like diagrammatic representation. So these are the GG drills. You can have a question that is, again, flame shaped tip is seen in, okay, flame shaped working tip is seen in GG drills. Okay, and this is your piezo rimmer, So these are useful for post space preparation. Okay, whereas your GG is primarily concerned with its usage in the case of canal orifice enlargement, and it is useful to remove the lingual shoulder in the anterior teeth, whereas your piezo rimmers are useful for post space preparation and to remove gadapacha. So again, they can ask you like, so these are the number 1 GG, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. The dimensions are 0.5, 7, 0.7, 0.9, 1.1, 1.3 and 1.5 millimeters. So you can identify the diagram and you can give the number by counting the number of rings. You can see 1 ring, 2 ring, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Right? The similar number piezo rimmers will be 0.7, 0.9, 1.1, 1.3, 1.5, 1.7 millimeters. I hope you are very familiar and clear with this. If you have any further doubts, we have one more video on the YouTube channel about the GGs and piezo rimmers. You can go and watch it. The next question, okay, of course, it's a very good question directly taken from your Grossman. During the axis preparation, pulp horn portion of orifice is on the axial wall of the axis cavity. This is called as. So if your axis cavity or if your axis opening is not extended properly or completely, there are high chances that few of the pulp remnants or the pulp horns or anything that is moves around the pulp may left or on the axial side. Okay, that is an improper axis opening if it's not extended. You can see in this diagram, this is a correct axis opening technique. But if your axial wall sometimes may not be properly extended, so that you can leave some sort of pulp on the axial wall which looks like a mouse hole. So that is called as a mouse hole effect. This question with diagram is directly from your recent edition of Grossman. The next question, which of the following cannot be used as a root and filling material? Of course, these root and filling materials are also called as retrograde material, right? So the minimum thickness of this retrograde material that is required for proper success is 3 millimeters. When you are going to do this after apexectomy, okay, so how much you are going to remove root? We're going to remove 3 millimeters and we are going to keep a filling that is called as retrograde filling of 3 millimeters, right? So with a normal common sense, you can directly go for the answer. For example, you know MTA can be used. That's a basic thing. And you know that amalgam and IRM are filling materials. You know that they are filling materials. But this D option is nowhere related to filling or anything, right? It's just an ingredient. So the answer is D with a simple common sense, but I'm going to give a proper reference. But there is one more twist in the question. Okay, so the twist in the question is, for example, if the options in this question are MTA, B amalgam, C IRM, D GIC. Okay, so when these are the options in the question, then here you have to go for Amalgam. Amalgam previously is used as a root and filling material, of course, but nowadays it is completely discarded from the dentistry. Of course, not it should not enter into the periapical area, okay, because it may cause amalgam tattoos, or it may cause the discoloration of the teeth, or it may cause some biochemical issues also, biocompatibility or allergies, or so many things amalgam is going to cause. So when these are the options, you have to go for amalgam as an option, because it can be used, but among the list of options, it is the one which is not used nowadays. So you have to go for best option. If these four are options, then you have to go for this. So this is a reference that I have taken from one of the book, okay, that is your retrograde. The book is The Dental Materials by Mahalakshmi, which is a standard book referred by most of the postgraduates. Okay, so this is a retrograde. Filling material is classified into three types, that is metal and alloys, dental cements, and resins. For the reference, if you want, you can add this to your notes. The next one, the walking bleach technique, the mechanism of action on the tooth is, of course, it's a standard question. Your bleaching technique will follow a combination of oxidation and reduction that is called as redox reaction. So the basic definition of bleaching. So what bleaching says, bleaching is, chemical definition is conversion of high molecular weight polymers into low molecular weight monomers, right? So this is what the chemical process that takes place in the bleaching. And last but not the least, this is the diagram based simple question. The following image shown is a clinical finding in a boy of age 10 years. This is a keyword. The diagnosis according to the Ellis classification of tooth fracture is. So when you're talking about class 1, that is involving enamel, class 2 enamel and dentin, class 3 enamel, dentin and pulp, and class 8 is crown and mass. Okay, so it's a 10-year-old. 10-year-old means clearly says that it's a permanent teeth, right? So it is involving enamel, dentin and pulp. The answer is C. For example, if the same question is given as a 5-year-old, I think you can see these are looking like premolars. Okay, for example, if the diagram is cropped like this in your examination, showing you the centrals, laterals and canines. Okay, the same question is given as 5-year-old boy. Okay, a 5-year-old boy means the teeth are primary teeth. A primary central incisor with enamel, dentin, pulp involving will comes under yes, that is class 9. Deciduous teeth. Any sort of trauma, whether it is an avulsion, whether it is a crown and mass, whether it is a root fracture or XYZ, will comes under class 9. So simple age of the child will change the options, will change the answer. Okay, so if it is a 5-year-old, then it is a class 9. If it is a 10-year-old, then it is class 3. Hope you are very familiar with Ellis classification. Okay, so these are the questions which were which are like, I mean, these are the concepts basically which were covered in the recent sessions of the NEET. And I hope this video is useful for you. Make sure you try to follow our Instagram page, where we are planning to cover as many diagram based as possible within this limited time before you take your final exam, which will be very, very useful. You can search this MDS Conquer _NBD Conquer on the Instagram page, and you can follow us. And the second thing, there is a free sort of discussions or questions exchange which we are taking on our Instagram, on our Telegram group. Okay, so I'm going to post the link of that particular group in the description below. You can just click on the link and you can be a part of this group, where we are planning to discuss some questions with good references, and of course the smart notes with the best mnemonics, which will make your preparation easy and smooth. And the next important note from the team MDS Conquer is planning to conduct an all India mock exam, which is going to be free for all the students in the country. The date will be announced very soon, and MDS Conquer is going to provide the free PDF booklet of NEET 2020 paper with the best smart notes and the references. Uh, to get this, I want you to drop your email address in the comment box, so that it will be sent to you very soon. Probably we are planning to release this booklet with the best references and the notes, uh, like probably in the first week of November. Okay, I mean, love learning with the team MDS Conquer. If you liked this video, please do hit a like, and if you want to have further updates of the upcoming subjects of the NEET 2020 and the AIMS, you can just subscribe this channel for more information. Signing off, Dr. Srikanth from team MDS Conquer.